it wouldn't have been what it is if it wasn't for the people. It's the people that I'm building with that's allowed me to now step up and make that next level, that next leap, and be able to have these conversations in the rooms. So adding value to them, it's one of the most amazing things as well.
What's up, everybody? My name's Mike Sjogren, here with my co-host,
Emmanuel Pani.
We're part of a group of specialized real estate investors you've probably never heard of.
We didn't start with deep pockets or wealthy families, and we don't rely on 401ks, mutual funds, or traditional real estate investing.
In fact, many of us don't even own the properties that fund our freedom. If you ask the money experts out there, they'd say what we do is impossible, yet it's happening every single day.
It's happening through a new niche called short-term rentals.
We are Short-Term Rental Nation, and these are our secrets. What's going on, STR Nation? Welcome back to another episode of the Short-Term Rental Secrets podcast. I am your host, Mike Sjogren, here with my main man and brother from another mother, Mr. Emmanuel Pani. What's up, E?
My brother, good to see you. Nice hat. Nice and shiny.
Yeah, we got some new lids in, got a couple different colors. I like the gray and the white. It's versatile. It goes with everything. So
yeah, it can be sports and business and all of the good stuff. No, man, life is good. Little side thing about me. So as some of you know, I came here as an exchange student many years ago. And our exchange, and my wife Tasha also came as an exchange student. She had a horrible time. My host family, one of them was terrible. So I have a little cousin, she's 16. And last time we went to Italy, she was like, oh, I want to do exchange student as well. So we actually have her coming to live with us next Wednesday. So we're just kind of preparing the house to have a teenager living with us. We did it 10 years ago with Natasha's brother when he came from Angola the first time. And it's a very, I don't know, bro, I feel so honored and so grateful to be able to like take care of my family. And also like, you know, for those of you that are immigrants, coming to the States is always a big deal. And there is a lot of like learning that comes with it. Also a little anxious to just have a teenager at home, right? And then just my space and like our flow of things. But at the same time, if you can't help out and take care of your family, I don't know what else really you're supposed to do in life. And then I bought the house next door to mine for my mom, and that one is almost done. So that's coming along pretty nicely. And then all 10 of our buildings at the villas currently do not have roofs. So we're back in the phase 2 of the process of re-roofing them. So if you've been following along with that, that's happening as well. So overall, there's a lot of things, a lot of moving parts, you know. But what about you, man? I saw you guys in Breckenridge, and that looked like an amazing event. So you get some golfing in.
The last 10 days was kind of a whirlwind, and we'll definitely get into it on the podcast with our guest today. But it was awesome, man. We each took, so it was myself, TJ Tijani, Kyle Stanley, Dr. Rachel Gainsbourg, and Noble Crawford. We each took like 5 of our I don't know if it's top students, but some of our higher end students that have got a lot of units, they're getting after it. And we had an event for them, a retreat out in Breckenridge, where we were breaking down everything from like boutique hotels, building teams and culture, how to get direct bookings secured through government contracts, how to get bookings through insurance agencies that need to place people who have been displaced. Like we went deep on a lot of stuff that you don't really cover on like basics on how to run this kind of business.
Yeah.
And then we had a blast, man. Like we rented ATVs, we got mountain bikes, some of them went horseback riding, we went golfing. It was sick. And then I slept for like 24 hours when I got home because I didn't do much sleeping when I was there. And then put an offer in on a 10 unit on Monday. Just found out today we did not get it, unfortunately, but it is what it is. And then last night originally I got this from my mom, but she ended up getting sick. I got front row tickets to see Elton John at Gillette Stadium, the Patriots Stadium.
Oh, wow.
So we had like front row dead center. And so Kristen and I went because my mom was sick. She couldn't go. So it was wild, man. And again, just like proximity is power. She was like, what was your favorite part of the concert when we were driving home? And I was like, honestly, we were 4 seats over from Robert Kraft, who owns the Patriots. Like he was sitting next to me.
Bro.
And I was like, that was the best part because it just kept like, when you get around people like that, it just elevates your thinking. I'm like, this dude built all of this. Like,
And then do you remember, I don't know if you remember John Vroman. He was a speaker that we saw a lot through the GoBundance kind of circle, and he has a charity called First Row
Front Row Dads.
Front Row Dads
And Front Row Foundation. Yeah.
Front Row Foundation, and the whole concept is that, right? And like I've really embraced that for myself. And again, like there are some things that I look at tickets and they are more expensive that I would be comfortable spending right now. But when you commit yourself to that like front row experience, it makes a difference, right? And then to me, at least the way that my mind works, it then makes me work harder, because then that's the kind of level of experience that I want to have every time. Because again, like if you go to a sports game, unless you buy good tickets, then you might as well stay home, because you see better, you have your drinks and you have your snacks at home, and you don't have to leave the house, right? So like there is the whole experience. So I love that, and I love Elton John. I'm a huge Elton John fan. I didn't even know that he was still.
This is his last tour.
So oh, right. Okay, this is his last tour. Wow. Yeah. That's epic.
So it was lights out. It was really cool. So yeah, man, a lot of good stuff. But
yeah,
I don't want to spend too much time on that. I could talk about that for a while. I got plenty of videos and stuff.
Yeah.
But today I'm not going to read through his whole bio because he's been on the show before, and he can walk us through all of his updates. But today we've got our good buddy, Mr. TJ Tijani, joining us from STR Roadmap. What's up, TJ?
Oh, what's going on, family? What's going on, y'all? Oh, man, great to be here again. I appreciate y'all having me, man.
So we had you on, TJ. It was at least a year ago, right? At least. So why don't you give us the rundown on what's been going on in TJ's world the last 12 months? You've had a lot of stuff go down.
It's been a lot going on. And, it's one of those things too, to where, because I think that as human beings, especially with somebody who has that ambitious mindset, who is actually building something, and you have a big why, it's always great to just look back and be like, wow, what that year looked like, right? And it's been a lot. It's been a lot of drastic changes that has happened for us, for me, and because not only from a branding perspective, of course, on business as well, relationships, connections. So, there was this huge Clubhouse crave that's been going on since we were last on the show, and we were adding value on Clubhouse. We just had a room last night, so it's been a while since I've been on there, but we just did a room last night, and I was able to meet and connect with a lot of people. And on top of that, I think probably one of the best things that's came through a lot of these connections and meeting you guys and meeting a lot of people is the fact that I also had a chance to people hear me. So they able to see the kind of value I can bring just in real estate space in general, short-term rentals in general. And so I get invited to speak on stages. So I've literally, since last year, I've probably been averaging 2 speaking gigs a month, right? Well, I've just been going around adding value on multiple different stages. And that alone has been a heck of a ride and helped me in a lot of ways, not only get better at speaking general, but really help me learn and help me meet and network with some of the dopest investors on the planet. Put me in a lot of amazing rooms that has not only helped me, but also helped my own community, help the people that are tapped in with me, the people that are learning from me. And it's been amazing. It's been amazing. But even on the business side, I mean, last time we spoke, I know for sure I hadn't even locked in or was considering doing my first boutique hotel. But that's probably one of the biggest changes, because at the end of the day, I truly feel like what we've built so far, a lot of folks, and you guys listen to me here, a lot of short-term investors and people that were all on this mastermind. I heard you guys talking about the mastermind. These are some of the top short-term rental investors on the planet getting together, right? And one thing that I know that we've mastered, the process of getting somebody booked, getting our properties. Well, I'll take a step back. Getting our properties listed on the OTAs, getting somebody booked, right? That entire process, getting them staying in the property, getting them checked out, getting the turnover, getting it clean, handle any issues in between. We've pretty much built a system around that. We've pretty much mastered that. So now we were kind of, especially with the way that our business was going, because we were buying these small multifamily units. It was kind of my bread and butter. I loved owning and making single family, really 2 to 4 units. short-term rentals, right? And we were able to offer these units as individual units and also as package deals. And so we realized that not only that, a lot of things with the business, when you are able to have multiple units in one location, is different. Handling the maintenance is different. I mean, from the cleaning processes is different. Managing inventory is a whole lot different. So we realized that we're able to curate a better experience for guests as well when you have multiple units in one location. So we started a boutique hotel brand that's still under the umbrella of our entire management company. So that's one of the biggest changes in our business is the type of assets we're targeting now. And so we are targeting these multifamily assets. And it's always interesting because I call my units a boutique hotel, but they weren't old hotels that I bought that I remodeled. They weren't already existing motels or hostels or anything like that. I'm buying apartment complexes, right? And I am making them beautiful, fixing them up, adding value, and then we run them as hotels. And that's really the play. And that's why I tell people all the time to understand what a value is in this business. The value is in your infrastructure. The value is in the systems and the team that you have. The value is in your KPIs. The value is in all those things in between that happens in the back end. That way you can run your own units. That way you can manage other people's units, and that way you can run the ones that you rent as well. And so our boutique hotel model is probably one of the biggest changes that we made in our business. And so now we're about to open up our first location, which is 13 doors. We're closing our second location, which is 8 doors. And right now, though, our buy box is more so like, hey, 12 doors minimum. We want 12 doors minimum, and then we'll go all the way up to 50 doors. We found that to be kind of our sweet spots. So even the type of assets that we're targeting, even the ones that we do arbitrage as well, we're not just going up to one landlord and saying that, hey, we want one, right? So even everything that we're doing, both in an arbitrage perspective and even the ones that we're purchasing, is totally different. And so so it's been a lot of growth in our business. The team has grown, and it's been a hell of a ride so far, man.
Just in case you guys were wondering why we had TJ back on the show, right? This is why we had TJ back on the show. And like, again, bro, like to me, my favorite thing about you is just like the simplicity and the humbleness about everything, right?
Yeah.
And that was the reason why I wanted you to come back on the show, because I'm like, I watch you kind of like grow and transition from the single family to the hotel. That's a big topic of conversation lately. So it would be super valuable for you to come back on the show and share that experience with you, with our listeners. And the other thing that I wanted to talk about, which is something that I heard yesterday, is the rules of 1/3, right? Mm-hmm. And what I mean by this is that when you are going after a big goal, 1/3 of the time you're going to be having a good time, 1/3 of the time it's going to be okay, and 1/3 of the time you're going to be really crappy. Mm-hmm. But as long as the goal is big enough, that's going to be the average, right? And then obviously if you're doing only crappy days, maybe your goal is too big and you're not ready yet. If it's too easy, then the goal is too small, right? So what I wanted you to talk about, because I know a specific story, is what was those 1/3 of crappy days that you had along the journey, and how did you keep yourself cool and just in the positive mind wave of like, this is just part of my 1/3 of crappy days that I have to just log in because it's just part of it, right?
Man, I love that. I love that concept, because when you think about it, it's true. Like when you really process it, that's kind of how it goes, right?
Right. Especially the big goals, right? Like the big goals, like
yeah. When you process it, so oh man, and that's the thing about it, man. Like, and I'll tell you, this first boutique hotel, the person that sold it to us, they didn't want us to buy it. They hated that we were about to buy this property. And the thing is that this was a property, it was a probate situation, and the original seller, she passed away, and so everything was supposed to be passed down to her son, but she ended up not. It turns out she didn't divorce the dad that's been MIA for 10 years, and he came and he's like, where all my assets at, where my property's at? And so the son was like, heck no, I'm gonna drag this out along until you're not here anymore. He said, I don't care how long this goes, you're not getting anything. And so we had this thing on the contract. We were connected directly to the source. And that's one thing that people need to understand. This is why wholesalers can make the margins that they make, because they're connected directly to the source. The closer to the source you're connected, the better the deal, right? And so because we were connected directly to this probate attorney who had the eyes and the hands right there at the property, and they were corresponding with us directly. And so we were staying in touch with them, and she would just let us know, like, hey, yeah, it's not looking good, but we're just gonna see. I just kept following up. And I was just like, look, okay, can we just send you an offer? Like, we just send you a contract. That way, if something shakes, we'll be able to move quickly. And they said, well, yeah, you go ahead and send it. Well, I'm like, well, what should we send? And she was like, well, we could want at least what the appraisal district says it's worth, right? So the appraisal district says it's worth $580,000. I'm like, okay, cool. We'll send you a contract for $580,000. Mind you, this deal was brought to me by a wholesaler. Okay, this was brought to me by a wholesaler. So then all of a sudden, we following up every couple of weeks. We're following up. This was about a year of work, of process of getting this property under contract. And so we get a call one day. They say, hey, they reached an agreement. And here's the thing. I'm not gonna lie to you. I wanted the dad to get the property because guess what? The dad wanted to sell it. The son didn't want to sell it. So it turns out that this lady owns a ton of real estate. She owns that 13 units. She owns 2 fourplexes, and she owns like 8 single family houses with 2 to 4 units in the same kind of general vicinity. And so turns out that they decided the dad was going to get the 13 unit, the biggest property, and the son was going to get everything else. He wanted to just get it over with. And so they just agreed. So I get the call. They say, hey, we reached an agreement. I'm like, okay, great. How the heck? Okay, it don't even matter. I just run the play regardless. And so they ended up honoring that contract of 580. They honored the contract. And so the person who wholesaled to me for $630,000. So she made a $50K spread on the deal. Great payday for her. I'm happy that she got that. But the caveat though was that now that it comes out of probate, now it's visible to everybody. Right? Because we were connected to the source initially. When a lot of eyes went out on this because it wasn't out of probate yet. Now they came out of probate, everybody's like, oh snap, now it's on different lists and everybody's targeted it. And they started getting offers on this property. They started getting offers, and none of the offers were nowhere near close to what we have it on the contract. The first offer they got was $950,000. Right? That's the first offer they got. Then they got another offer for $1 million. They got another offer for $1.1 million. And so I'm like, hey, yo. And so they were like, yo, if we want to terminate the contract. I said, well, you can't terminate the contract. We are in the contract. And so I said, look, if you try to terminate the contract, you can't try, but we're going to end up closing on it anyway, but you're just going to have to pay my attorneys on top of it. So you have to at least let us see if we don't close by the end of the contract date, and then that's it. Well, we didn't have enough time to get to get bank financing. And so it was a heck of a situation to where we end up still getting bank financing, but we end up having to pay cash for it first just to get it closed on time. Then we still went the traditional bank financing route and got it financed through the bank. The bank funded purchase, the rehab. There was such a good spread on it. And so they were really unhappy that we got it closed. But and I'm talking about the last day on the contract was the last day that we were having that thing. We were at the title company. The last hour, the title company closed at 5 p.m. It's 5:10 where I'm holding the entire title company open. Like, no, we're closing this thing. We're gonna sign this bad boy. I'm holding on. My partner's bringing in the last 40,000 that we need to get this thing closed. Waiting on
his mattress at home. Yeah,
my goodness. So it was a heck of an experience. But I mean, closing it honestly. Yeah. You could probably imagine how much sleep that I lose. I mean, it was the amount of pressure that was on me to get this deal closed was insane. I'm talking about sleepless nights, but we were able to get it done. And it's so worth it. It's so worth it. It's unexplainable worth it.
What a great story. And like I was reading Mark Simpson's book earlier today, and it's just like he talks about like it's not what you know, it's who you know. And again, like the more we do this game, like the more you understand, right? Because like those are those like unicorn deals that people hear about, right? And like I was just talking about my mom's house that I bought for my mom next door. It was the same thing, right? Like it's the seller wanted to sell. She wanted to move in with her son. We had the emotional connection of the fact that I wanted my mom to move in. We locked it in for like $200,000 under market, right? Mm-hmm. And you don't, in those moments, right? It's not being like you ask and you give them what they ask you for. So you're not being deceiving. They just don't know what you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
One of the things, TJ, I want to talk about real quick, and I don't want to beat a dead horse here, but what was a theme that you and I had like talking about the whole time in Breckenridge? Like when we're talking about deals, everybody's like, where are you getting deals? How are you doing this stuff? How are you pulling this off?
Yeah, relationships, connections. I mean, honestly, I don't think you can beat that horse bad enough. Honestly, I mean, it's one of those things, and I tell people, it's who you know. It really is. It's who you know. And don't listen to society. Okay. Don't listen to our school system. I'm not saying don't listen to our school system, but our school system, that doesn't really tell us how to get things done. Okay. Because understand, the question that whenever we have a goal, everything teaches us that, okay, how do we achieve this goal? Society teaches us that. Social media teaches us that. Our school system teaches us that. Well, how do we achieve this goal? When in reality, that's not even the main important question. Yeah, that's an important question, but more so, it's who. Who can we leverage to help us achieve this goal? That's more so the question. That's why I love that book. It's who, not how, because that's the question. It's who, right? So even when I talk to people that want to get tapped in and learn this business, and I talk to them and learn about their goals, and I want to know what their goals are and what they're looking to do, and it's like, well, you need a who. You need a who. You really need a who. And so and it's always who. That's why I love like we're in Breckenridge. I love masterminds. I love being around people. And that's one of the things that has helped me. And I love that God has blessed me with the gift of being able to connect with people and have a sense of a little bit of a charismatic character. I don't know, whatever the case may be, I'm able to build connections. I'm able to build relationships. And that's one of the things that has really helped me in my journey. It's really helped me. We're talking about where I've been at, how I was able to get to where I am now over the last year and a half. It's who. That's it. I'm just in the room. I'm just in the rooms. I'm just connecting with the right people. I'm connecting the right dots. I'm adding value where I can. And that's the thing. Because understand, you can get to a certain point, you can work really, really hard to be known and respected in your city. It could be in your city, it could be in your marketplace, just to be respected in your space and being known as that person in your particular marketplace or your space. And then you're going to get to a point to where, okay, I can get to another level, right? But that next level that you can be at is like the bottom of that level. Like you're just scratching the surface, right? And now you have two options. You can either step into that growth, knowing that it's going to be one of the hardest things you ever had to do, knowing how much you are going to fail, knowing that it's not going to go perfectly, knowing that it's going to cause you maybe some sleepless nights, knowing how challenging it is going to be for you. You can step into that, or you can just retreat back to where you're the man at, where you're safe at, where everybody knows you. Right. And so for me, this growth that has happened and it's just me reaching that point and deciding to step into it. Right. But I'm telling you, it wouldn't have been what it is if it wasn't for the people. It's the people that I'm building with that's allowed me to now step up and make that next level, that next leap, and be able to have these conversations in the rooms. So adding value to them, it's one of the most amazing things as well.
One of the things I talk about, and E witnessed this firsthand with me, because when I met E, he was light years ahead of me, and the other four people in our little pod were light years ahead of me. And what happens when you get in the room with people that are way ahead of you is one of two things. Either you're going to retreat because you're so uncomfortable that like imposter syndrome kicks in and you're like, I can't do this, or you're going to push through that discomfort, just like you're talking about, and you're going to level up. And that's where the growth is. So like, again, just being at that concert last night, Chris and I were easily the youngest in that front row by at least 20 years, at least. Like I showed up in like a hat and a polo. Half these people were in like suits and all this stuff. I'm standing next to Robert Kraft, who owns the Patriots, like all these people. And just like the conversations, I'm talking to the guy next to me, and the guitarist keeps pointing at him and he's going like this, like he's going to throw him the guitar. And finally I was like, what's up, dude? He's like, oh, I know all of them because I went to their fundraiser auction and I bought his guitar last time at the auction. And I told him that I want to buy that specific guitar privately from him when the tour is over. So he knows the band and he's going to buy this one-off guitar from Elton John's last tour. Nobody else has dibs on that, but like just when you're in that room, you can either step up or just like retreat.
Absolutely. You know what I mean? Yep. That's a fact. I love that.
I love that you brought up the imposter syndrome, right? Because I think that gets a bad rep. And I think we all, even when you have the right to be in the room, you catching up to this new version of you is going to take you a little while.
Yeah.
right? And like, dude, I have that every time I hang out with people that like are doing big things, right? And like, I need to be humble and like check in with myself and be like, okay, I know my journey and I'm proud of my journey this far, and that's all I have. Like, that's how I got here, right? And it's nothing to do with things. But then you realize also like the worst NBA player compared to the best college athlete, or like it's just such a like world of difference that it's not good or bad. You just need to go there and put your hours in, right? And like put the work in. And we talk about this all the time. People love to mentor and give back in real estate overall as a space, no matter what space you're in. And I see this with Brooke, like Brooke from like Vintori that we had on the show. Like, we are onboarding Vintori as a system, and you can tell the love that Brooke has for this industry in just how he pours into people all the time. And
Yeah.
that to me has been my overall experience through real estate investing across any avenue. Is
Yeah.
you find the old timer and you just generally put your heart on the plate and you're like, I have huge dreams, help me. And I think that's what TJ, you do very well. That's what Mike does very well as well. And that's what helps us relate to people is we're raw. Like, we're like, I want a great fucking life. I don't know how, what, when. I'm willing to listen. I'll put my head down and work. Just show me the way.
You hear you hear that saying. I don't know if y'all heard the saying that said the man who embraces the journey more will go further than the man who embraces the destination, right? And that's to me one of the best things that has came out of this entire process. And mind you, to be sure, I'm just getting started. Like it's like the growth has been great, but we're just scratching the surface here. And the thing is, one of the most important things, and one thing I loved about this entire process is the journey, right? Because I'm not even the same person. Like the person I have to become to be in these rooms, the person I have to become to embrace and have these kind of conversations and add value to people that are years ahead of me, And that's a different kind of person, right? And that journey is so important. And that's why I embrace the journey so much, right? And even the flaws and everything that might come with it. Understand that's part of it. That's part of the journey. It won't go great all the time. And understand that it's what the fact that it is difficult. The journey is difficult. The fact that it's difficult is what gives it value, right? If every single person was walking around with a six pack, nobody would give a fuck. Like nobody would care. You know what I'm saying? The fact that it's hard is what gives it value. So to me, that's one of the things that changed my mindset. It's like do the hard thing. Like don't be scared of the hard things. I'm like, oh, you know what? I can go this route. I go this. I'm gonna go ahead. Like, no, do the hard thing. Like legit, do it because it's hard. Matter of fact, that should be your reason for doing it because that's where the value is. That's what gives it value. And watch what comes out when you come out on the other side of that. That's a place that not a lot of people can venture in because it's hard, but that's what gives it value. You know what I mean? And I love that just about this entire journey.
Yeah.
Bob Proctor used to drill that a lot. And he's got a really good video where he actually quotes like JFK when they were doing the space program.
Yeah.
If you listen to that speech JFK gave, it was all about like, we choose to go to the moon, not because it's easy, but because it's hard. And like, that's it. Like, it's just because it's hard to do. So let's just do it.
And that's been a topic in philosophy for the longest time, right? Like when I have my moments where I don't feel great, I love reading like Stoic philosophy and like Marcus Aurelius, and like you read those things, and those guys were like, like the times that they lived in were exponentially different than the times we live in now. We can all agree about that, right? Like there was no running water, there was no running power, yet Rome built one of the biggest empires that even today, like I wrote in the group, like there is a saying that all roads lead to Rome. Because Rome built most of the roads throughout Europe, built back to Rome because Rome owned everything, right? And there is an element in the Stoic philosophy that talks about how it's your duty to do what's hard on a physical level too, right? Like all Greek and Roman philosophers were used to go and wrestle and battle, and it's because it's the need of the human experience to do hard things.
Yeah.
And now we're so addicted to the phones that give you the dopamine hit. And I saw a video from Jaco Willings yesterday, and he's like, you can get your dopamine hit doing this and just scrolling through here, or you can go out and do something hard.
Yeah.
But what's gonna be more lasting, right? And it's the same thing, guys. Like life is the same. And like, we're not saying that you don't have to be happy if you have 6 units and you're living the life that you want.
Absolutely.
That's great. But my only thing for you is put your hand on your heart, on your soul, whatever it is, and ask yourself, am I pushing myself to the hardest that I can for the potential that God has given me, the universe has given me, right? Not for anybody else. Like, you don't have to do it for any other reason, but just live through it, because you're meant to expand, you know?
I'll tell you what makes that a lot easier is when you get around those people that are at that level and they'll support, encourage, and challenge you to get there. Right. Like I remember when E and I met, he used to like challenge me on like my language all the time. I had a lot of like limiting beliefs and I would just puke it out and I wasn't even aware of it. Right. And he's like, I would say something like, oh, I'm not good at whatever. And he'd be like, oh, up until now.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what do you mean?
If
oh, you weren't good until today, right? Like
Yeah.
now you're good at it, right?
Yeah.
And just like elevating like your language. And that's why like these mastermind events are so powerful. Going to these events are so powerful. Like being in the right rooms is so powerful because you're going to meet people that are way ahead of you. And like TJ said, I know for me, I am not the same person I was 5 years ago. Like I'm just not.
100%.
Like you just change as a human. And that's honestly the real juice. And we've said this countless times, but like setting goals is important, but the real juice is becoming the person you need to be to hit the goal. That's it.
100%. How do you guys feel if I just kind of take over the show for the last couple of minutes and just ask you guys highlights? Because I wasn't there, so I have a little bit of FOMO. Just highlight from the Breckenridge event. What are things that, like, you know what I mean? Like, share the sauce. Like, what are some of the things that you guys had learned, and where did you guys see the industry going, or anything that was like that you guys experienced over there?
You know, honestly, the impact that trip had actually surpassed what I thought the impact would be. I mean, you have 5 coaches, not just 5 coaches, 5 of some of the best investors in the short-term rental game, right? And then we took our students that are action takers. We took our action taker students that are looking to scale their business, that are on the way to scale their business, and we brought them together and we connected for 5-6 days, talking about nothing but short-term rentals and all the nuances and everything that is pretty much going to take them to a 7-figure business, right? And so all the topics, and I'm talking about, we're not just talking about the students getting, us as coaches got so much out of that, both from a technical aspect, from what we learn, and the relationships. Like Mike sent me a deal. It's a 27 unit that we're phenomenal numbers, and we're looking to run a play on that. I just sent an 8-unit deal to Jeremy, right there in San Antonio, right by where his units are, and he's super excited about it. I mean, the kind of connections that came out of it. And then you have Noble teaching our government contractor, right? He's playing at a lane that we're not even like. He's playing at a lane that a lot of people don't even work. You know,
we don't even know. We don't even
know. 10 pages of notes, literally just from Noble's talk.
Yeah, Noble is small and mighty. Like, Noble is like that guy. Like, you know what I mean? Like, he, like, anything that he didn't get, like, he just got in, like, attitude and like mindset.
You should have seen on the last day, we're like, you know, we're connecting, we're saying our goodbyes, because we're the last day. We've been connecting this entire time. Everybody wanted to pictures with Noble. Everybody wanted.
Dude, he was like Brad Pitt over there. I was like, damn, okay, okay, we'll wait in line. We'll take a picture, I guess.
Exactly. We'll go ahead and wait in line.
Go take his picture, Mike. Go take his picture. Come on.
Yeah. I mean, we're talking about working with insurance companies, right? Getting to the bag with insurance companies.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, honestly, one of the biggest things that I learned from was how to actually create that company culture. Like, there's a lot of things that people don't even really consider about their company, right? So for me now, one of the biggest things that we're looking to do, especially once we launch these 2 hotels, we're like, look, what is our culture? I went ahead and called my team and I say, hey, let's talk, like, individually, like let's talk when I get back, right? So we have meetings in motion to where we're gonna sit down and I want to know what your goals are. Like, what is it that, you know, outside of, you know, of course, working, like, what is it that you want to do? What is it that you go? And when I talked to Carmen, my general manager, she said, well, I want to build wealth for my daughter. Like, I want something for my little girl, because we never was afforded that. My parents will never afford it. But if I can, she doesn't have a college degree. She's like, man, if there's something that I can pass, I said, we're gonna get you some assets. Let's get you some property. So now when we're working together, I'm always thinking about her. So I was like, hey, I'm gonna bring her in when I talk to my private lender, I'm gonna bring her in on the call to tap in just to listen in, right? When we're gonna make offers like this, how we make offers. So now she's gonna get a different side of the business that I wasn't even consider really bringing her in on. And I mean, to me, that's just a beautiful thing. And that kind of culture that will bring is just going to be a trickling down effect as well. So tons of things got it for this event. The impact was crazy. I'm still thinking about Tristan's speech at the end there. I'm still thinking about that speech. He killed that speech. And you can tell that as fulfilling as it was for us, they definitely got their lives changed. Like, lives were changed at this event. And I don't mean that lightly. Lives legit were changed at this event. And honestly, man, that's probably one of the most beautiful things about it, bro.
Oh, I love that. Love that. What about you, Mike?
I mean,
because you're a great note taker. Like, that's one of the things with Mike. And also, like, as far as going to an event and having somebody to go to an event with, Mike, in my opinion, from personal experience, is one of the best, right? Because he actually makes you, like, I remember coming back from events and Mike being like, okay, yeah, you can sit down, we can do whatever you need to do, but you need to bring your notebook and we need to go over what we learned and share notes and like create actionable steps. So what you got, Mike?
I mean, the big thing for me, there's a lot of mechanical things that we could do, right? Like the insurance stuff. Like, as soon as I get the recordings, I'm going to send it to Matt, because I know that we could definitely implement that on one of the hotels, and it would be a nice revenue source. Another piece, and again, I feel like we do this pretty well, but definitely going deeper. Kyle nailed his talk around the culture, like TJ was talking about. Like, he went really deep and gave like actionable stuff, not just like, oh, you need a good culture. He was like, these are the things that we need to do. So like, one of the things that we started planning was like a team Christmas party at one of the hotels, where it's not just that hotel's team, but we're going to bring all the different people from our team and have a really cool Christmas party. Because like when you're in corporate, like they do stuff like that, but as a small business, it's like, we're not really doing that. Like, we'll do little stuff here and there, but like, let's
you
get
don't think you
together.
have the size though, right? Is the whole concept of like, we're not that big, but at the same time, my team comes to my house for Thanksgiving, right? Like, it's just
wow.
Yeah, we're 5 people, but I'm like, dude, you're my family. Come.
Oh yeah.
Right.
I mean, the other big thing was like, I talked a lot about, not even like when I was presenting, but like on the side around like the mindset and the visualization. So we'll talk about that again in a minute when we talk about TJ's event. But like, I took a group of students and did a guided visualization on the roof deck one morning, and like they were crying, like they went in on it, and they were like, dude, that was massively powerful. Because when you unpacked a lot of the questions that they were asking, they knew a lot of the answers, but they just had a lot of self-doubt. And that just comes from like your self-identity and your subconscious. So like, we need to reprogram that a bit, so that, like TJ said, when you get in those rooms, you just step up instead of retracting. And a lot of that is just your mindset and your subconscious programming. So we did a lot on that. And, people kept asking us like, okay, like, where do you find these deals? How do you analyze these deals? And last day, me and TJ got a bunch of them together. We were like, how do you think you would do that?
Yeah.
Like, I know you know this answer. Like, stop downplaying yourself. And we had to like peel it out of them. But a lot of it was just like making things a bigger deal than they are. And this happens at every level. Like the things that I thought were big issues when I got started, like, I don't even give that a second. I'm like, all right, just do this and this. Boom, done. Like, on to the next. Right. And every level you go to, it's going to be the same thing. Like, again, going back to the Robert Kraft thing, the stuff that he handles and his team handles on like a daily basis for millions and tens and hundreds of millions of dollars, he's just like, yeah, just do this, this, and this, and just keeps it moving. But if that was any of us, we'd be like, holy shit, this is like a $20 million deal. Like, I don't know what I'm going to do, blah, blah, blah. And you make it a bigger deal than what it actually needs to be, just based on where your current level is.
Yeah.
So much of it is your mindset, and get that tuned in. And then once you have that, you just take all the mechanical stuff that you learn and you just execute on it.
Because the mechanics is all the same, right? Like, that's the thing that people like really don't understand, is the fact that it's all the same. And also, I wish there wasn't so much people telling people what to do, because I think obviously the beauty of it has been there's so much information. The bad part is that a lot of people are like, what's the right way to do it? And there is not a right way to live your life. There is not a right way to plan your day, right? The right way changes based on the time and the season and who you are as a person, right? So it's such a disservice to yourself to be like, well, let me see how TJ and Mike have done it. Because if you look at the 5 speakers, I know for a fact, because knowing you guys, I know for a fact there's been 5 completely different journeys with completely different hurdles, right? Dr. Rachel and Mike's life share very little in common, right? In the sense of like what she went through and what Mike went through. Yeah, they're still at the event together, right? So it doesn't matter. TJ, what's this event I hear about? You having an event?
Well, for one, if you ask a lot of the students at that Breckenridge, one of the biggest things they'll tell you is the connections that they made, the relationships that they made. And so you got to understand building relationships and connecting with people and going to events is low code. It really is. And so what's happening is in Houston, we're providing the ultimate opportunity to cheat. Okay. But at the end of the day, we are having a short-term rental focused event in Houston, the Rentalpreneur Summit. It's going to be an amazing event. It's going to be downtown Houston. We have some of the best speakers on the planet that's going to come, both on a real estate side in general and on a short-term rental side as well. Because at the end of the day, we're going to dive into heavily all aspects of short-term rentals, the multiple ways to do this business, systems, automation, everything, right? But at the end of the day, we're still going to place a pretty high value on ownership. So this is why I still have people like Cody Sperber coming. This is why I still have Carlos Reyes coming. This is Max Maxwell coming. I have Zach Beach coming. That's going to talk a lot about the real estate side and also speak to the mindset of a real estate investor as well, because the goal is to start owning these properties as well. We're going to get to the cash flow. We're going to speak heavily on the cash flow. We're going to place a lot of value on ownership. This is why the theme of the entire event is cash flow and freedom, right? That's the theme of the event. And so it's going to be an event that definitely is going to change your mindset. It's going to add tons of value to what you're already doing and probably change your life in the sense that it may have you thinking in ways that you have not thought about before. And come in and meet the people, because at the end of the day, when you go to conferences and you meet people and you're watching people speak and you're hearing all these amazing stuff, trust me, there are people in that audience that probably could be on that stage killing it as well. Right. So understand that the people around you, the people that you're going to be able to mix and mingle with, that's also going to be paramount. And the networking opportunity is going to be amazing. We have some of the best and dopest speakers coming to speak. Of course, my guys on here is coming to speak, and everybody in the 7-Figure Mastermind is coming to speak. You're going to hear from a whole lot of people that is going to, even with everything that you got going within your short-term rental business, is going to add so much value to what you already have going. And that's a fact. Okay. So I'm super excited about the event, the Rentalpreneur Summit, August 19th and 20th. And it's going to 100% change some lives. I'm excited.
And the ticket price is so, like, it's a no-brainer. Like, it's literally a no-brainer to just get there.
Yeah, just get there. It's a no-brainer. It's 100% a no-brainer. We are making it very, very, very affordable for people, because at the end of the day, one of the things that, of course, is always, it means not only is it going to be something we talk about at the event, but it's kind of the theme going around everything going on right now, because people want to know what I should be doing right now. What should they be doing with all this conversation about inflation, all this conversation about a recession? Okay, we know that there's a lot of wealth to be made in times like this. We know that there's a lot of wealth that's been made in every single downturn that has happened, every single down cycle that has happened in this country. There's been a lot of wealth being created. Well, what is the play now? What is going on? Are we, regardless of what goes on, if it's going to be a crazy recession, if it's not going to be a crazy recession, whatever the case may be, what should you be doing, especially within the short-term rental space? This is a place, this is an event. We made it very affordable. There's no reason why you should. Matter of fact, you can grab a virtual ticket. You can grab a virtual ticket to tap in. Like, it's not, it's going to be amazing content. The virtual quality is going to be amazing as well. So there's really no reason why you wouldn't tap in if you're taking your financial future seriously, for sure.
For context, the tickets general admission is $197. It's less than $200. Like, this is no-brainer.
If you go out a single night between putting gas, getting dinner, and getting a drink, especially if you live in South Florida, you're spending more money than that, right? And again, like what TJ said is so true. And in these moments, what I realize is that the people that make it or don't make it and make money in recessions or downturns, it's 100% based on who you're listening to. Because if you're listening to the, to the Uber driver that's telling you that life is doom, then that's the type of life you're gonna go after, right? So like, just be super mindful of like, okay, like who am I listening to? Like, have they done anything? Do they own assets? What did their life look like? Were they investing before? Were they investing in the last big downturn, right? And just going back to good fundamentals, right? Like those haven't changed.
Absolutely.
Brother, so good to have you, man. It's always a pleasure.
Pleasure, brothers.
Yeah, so good.
I want to make sure we plug the URL too, because if they're watching it, I've got it scrolling across the bottom. But to go check it out, just go to rental-summit.com.
Absolutely. Rental-summit.com. Grab your tickets, and hopefully there's still some rooms available for you. But there's a tab on there, book a room. Go ahead and grab the room while it's super cheap. It's going to be at the same venue what the event is. So definitely tap in. Rental-summit.com. Grab your ticket. It's so cheap. And the value wouldn't even pale. It pales in comparison to the cost of these tickets. I'm telling you.
100%. Let's put it this way. I'm going to be on vacation in Disney with my family that week. And I'm literally going to go fly out, speak at the event, hang out with all the speakers, and then fly back later because there's so much value at this event that I'm literally, Kristen was like, are you seriously going? I'm like, one, it's TJ. Yeah, I'm going. And two, like, have you seen the lineup that he's put together? 100%.
And three, it's TJ. So I got it.
That means so much, man. That means more than you even can imagine, brother. Thank you so much, man. Having you there is definitely going to set it off for sure. I appreciate that, man.
So one last time, guys, go to rental-summit.com. Grab your tickets. They're less than $200 right now. Or get the VIP. I mean, honestly, when I go to events, I just get VIP because, again, you're putting yourself in that room, like we talked about earlier, with ridiculously high caliber people, extra access to speakers and different things. Like, one conversation can change the entire trajectory of your career. I've said that multiple times, and it is 1,000% true.
100%.
Love it.
1,000%. That proximity is a beast.
100%.
That VIP ticket is cheap too. It's $1,400 for a VIP ticket, bro. That's the cheapest VIP ticket of any conference. Like VIP tickets.
We were almost double that for Nashville context. So
literally almost double for their event. Yeah.
Awesome, bro. Well, again, appreciate you as always. Again, rental-summit.com. Make sure you grab your tickets. TJ, appreciate you, man. And looking forward to hanging with you less than a month, bro.
Yeah, we're 3 weeks away. Let's get it.
All right. Take care, everybody. Hey, STR Nation, if you enjoyed this episode, please make sure to hit that subscribe button and leave us a review. And in the comments, let us know what topics you want us to cover on upcoming episodes, and we'll make sure to get that in the books for you. And if you really want to learn how to launch, automate, and scale your short-term rental business, if you want to go deeper, then check out our free masterclass at strsecrets.com.